away we go here for Xbox Division 3.
Still wheel to wheel coming out of turn 19.
Tries to go down the inside of Desio. Desio giving him space, but not by much.
Oh, and he's oversteered, and he spun.
They're side by side, off the track, neck and neck.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Xbox Division 2 here for PPR. We are live round 13 at Hungary. I am your commentator of the night, PPR Nick. I'm so glad to be back. Been away for quite some races. I haven't been able to commentate since Baku, but I'm glad to be with all of you tonight as we are currently on board with the Ferrari of Night Shrimp. He's currently trying to set a time here on the mediums. Going to be a 35 lap race here tonight as we see Night Shrimp going through the chicane and now entering out of sector 2, and this will be into sector 3 now. Oh, and just clipping over the curb, and that's going to be an invalidated lap there for Night Shrimp. Very unfortunate for him, but I believe we have Marlon Conga shortly behind him. You see that purple sector and sector 2. See if he can keep this lap stable. Currently looking to set a lap here on the sauce as he comes through the final turn here on the right. Want to get down on the throttle as quick as possible. Clean exit there from Marlon and the AlphaTauri, and across the line, so 115.2 for Marlon. You got the Williams behind him of Hey AC, and he says, hey, here I am. That's a 14.4 for AC. Those are our first two set times of the night. Very well done by those two. We're now taking on board here with McLaren of Fontes, but oh, looks like he's invalidated this lap here for the McLaren team, so will not count for him. So now look here at the Haas of the Shadow Wolf. Here he tries to set a lap. Looks like we got a Williams off. That might be Hey AC, just getting out the way of some drivers. Very easy to invalidate there up the hill into what I believe is turn number 5, but Shadow Wolf making an easy way of it as he locks up through the chicane, but no worries, still looking good here on his lap as he gets through the swinging semi-S sections here that we have in Hungary. Very difficult, very technical, and if you don't get them right, you will lose a lot of time, but the Shadow Wolf looks to be making it easy so far as we click on the onboard, and another lockup there. Oh, and losing it, that's going to cost him a lot of time. And around the final turn we go here. DRS enabled one final time. And across the line, it's going to be a 14.8 there for Shadow Wolf, but definitely room for improvement. As we now look at our current championship points leader of Delirious is Indian Cyclone down there at 113.6. Absolutely flying here. And so was Delirious, but off the track limit. So him and his teammate there of Dark Ghost will be forming a little duet in between each other. Oh, and you go and you see the curb of death, as I like to call it, Night Shrimp. Luckily not to completely end the session, but hitting those sausage curbs there off of turn number 6 will lead to a deadly conclusion to your lap. As I found out very early on in our PC Division 1 race last night, and if you didn't get to check it out, it was quite the thriller. Kermit doing a great job on comms there as always, and keeping up with all the action was Jamie Lawrence as well with him, and those guys doing a great job. Tag team duo and so much action. I mean, you just couldn't miss it like all of our PPR races. I'm hoping to see the same here tonight here for Xbox Division 2 as Fontes is looking to set another lap here on his mediums is what it looks like. Most likely just doing some practice laps here. Still intense, so he's not going to start the race on these. Hopefully one of the guys below him, either Delirious, Perpetual Rain, or Night Shrimp, will pass him up. It looks like he's just trying to get in some practice. You see some guys do that quite often if they don't get to get in some practice before the race. Maybe they've done some throughout the week, but they're just trying to look to get a few laps in the first half of qualifying. It looks like that's what Fontas is doing, but at the moment it is Indian Cyclone and P1 followed by Hey AC there, and the Williams 0.8 of a second off, and you got the other Mercedes of King Kirk in third. Our championship leader though at the moment, Delirious, not able to set a lap. Saw him invalidate his first time, but with more than 10.5 minutes left, he is definitely going to be able to put at least 2 more laps here on the table and maybe see himself get there in the front or second row of the grid. He definitely has a pace to show for it. He's 41 points up at the moment of Indian Cyclone, who is sitting at 126 points in the championship in second, and then Delirious is sitting all the way up top there with 167. But here we go on board with Money Hustler. He's going to lead us here into this lap of the Hungaroring here in Hungary. And as he comes up to turn 1, braking in between that 50 and 100 meter board, DRS enabled. Very nicely done there on the throttle. He now approaches turn 2, the Ferrari of Night Shrimp doing very nicely there to get out of his way. And then this very speedy right-hander of 3. And now you go up the hill into turn 4. And it's very easy to go too wide here, but hugs the curb very nicely. And now you see it, as I call him, the Sasha curve of death, puts a little bit of touch there, and you see how unstable the car gets just by a small tap. And then into the chicane of 6 and 7 we go. And then now into 8. Oh, and unfortunately for Money Hustler, that is going to be the end of his lap. That's an invalidated lap there through turn number 8. Looks like he's going to bring that back into the pits and go again. And it looks like, speaking of going again, we are on board here with Delirious. He's just now gone through turn number 1 there in the Red Bull and looking to place himself up very highly in the race starting order. He makes his way up the hill here into turn number 4, swinging it along. Oh, and so beautifully done there. And oh, unfortunately for Hey AC, he's been disqualified from the session for going the wrong way. And that's going to drop him down from P2 all the way to the back of the grid. And you see it right there on screen as I say it. And that's going to be detrimental to Hey AC's start. Should be said, we are expecting a full wet race tonight. Now whether we're going to see the intermediates or the full wets, those blue striped tires, it's going to come into play. It's going to come into play how much rain we do see come onto track, but it is suggested that it's going to be raining the entire race. Now the amount is yet to be seen, as Delirious now coming through the final turn is on a flyer, looking like that's P2, and it is a 114.0, still 4/10 back there from Indian Cyclone. But now knowing that it's going to be a full wet race, you got to begin to wonder if some of these guys maybe have their wet setups on. And that is what's going to put them down a little bit in the order, because there could be some guys going for that very bold strategy of putting on a dry setup to make your way up the grid during qualifying. But what has to be known during wet races is that anything can happen. There's quite possibly a very high chance for a safety car, or even 2. So not always where you start, but it's going to be where you finish here tonight, as cliche as that might sound. But King Kirk there still sitting in 4th as we take it on board now with the Haas of the Shadow Wolf coming through sector 3. And oh, another invalidated lap right before the end of this outlap, and he should be bringing in the pits, and yes he is. That is going to be all there for the Haas at the moment. And it's got to be said, these track limits are extremely brutal, not as brutal as we saw last week in Austria, or excuse me, 2 weeks ago in Austria, as Silverstone was last week. But tracks like Austria, those are very tough when it comes to track limits. And Hungary won as well, because unseemingly you will get caught out at just the most random spots here. As we see Indy Cycling goes to the chicane. I got caught out there last night on my last outlap, and it seems like a point you can't really invalidate, but that is how Cody's does it, and you really got to play tight to the racing line. As we see Money Hustard going out again here on a lap on the softs, cutting through the grass area turn 1. It's going to cost him a few tenths. They now approaches turn 2 in his Renault. Very easy to get a very solid exit out of there, as is every corner per se. And now up the hill and having to let off a little bit, maybe too much there on the throttle, so that he didn't invalidate on his lap, but still going. And unfortunately, as you see it there, you just go a little too wide. You get off that white stripe you see there where the curves are at, the white stripe that extends it. And if you do that, you will have your lap invalidated. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. However, Cody sometimes, and he actually see there through the chicane at Night Shrimp doing what I just said I did last night, getting invalidated lap through the chicane. How you do that, I don't see. I don't think these track limits are very fair to drivers. They're pretty harsh, as you see in real life, especially if you watch the 24 Hours of Spa, or even last week there in Portugal for F1. Track limits, FIA extends them out quite a bit nowadays, at least in terms of F1. Other racing categories still very strict, but in Cody's, they stick to that harsh penalty system. And when it comes to qualifying, when you're pushing to the absolute max, or just that little bit of extra track limit you can take is going to be the difference from an 8th to a 7th, or a pole and a 2nd place. It really all matters, and if you just go a little bit too far off the edge, you're going to get caught out. And there we see it now, Tazonic P10 right behind his teammate of Marlon Conga, as we are looking at 4.5 minutes here left in qualifying. The Shadow Wolf looking to go again here in the Haas, currently sitting in 6th there on the soft Mark tires. All of our drivers obviously trying to get laps done here and on the soft, since they're not expecting to start the race with these tires, as we expect some pretty decent rainfall and quite possibly some intermediates. Not sure if we'll see full wets at the start. We could see that during the duration of our 35 laps here, but as short as a lap that Hungary is, we're probably going to see a prolonged race here tonight due to the inclement weather. It might be a battle of attrition, as some may say, because when the rain comes down, it doesn't come down easy, and it doesn't make things very light in terms of trying to get around the track, especially at a track like Hungary. As some say, it's Monaco without the barriers. It's going to be very interesting to watch, as now see the Shadow Wolf coming through that final turn, DRS enabled, and across the line. Can he improve? Yes, he can, by half a second, right behind his teammate there, Perpetual Rain. Haas is locked out the 2nd row of the grid, as King Kirk, sitting back there in 5th, might have something to say about it here at the end of qualifying, as we now see Marlon Conga a 10.5 up on his lap time at the moment, as he comes through Sector 2 and into 3. And once again, another invalidated lap that's been costly to many drivers tonight, as we now see Fontes really going for a one-shot quality type of deal here, because he wasn't really going for it there on the mediums, just getting some practice laps in. Very odd to see, as the race will be wet, but even so, maybe just getting accumulated with the track just a little bit more will help. But right in the curve, very hard up the hill to turn 4 and into 5, keeping it nice and tidy so far, as he is aiming to get himself in the top 10 here. He's already 2.5 up on his time, and that's before the end of Sector 2 here. So we'll see how far ahead he is as he enters Sector 3. And that's nearly 2 seconds up for the McLaren. Almost good enough to put him in the top 10. Let's see if he can get himself there. As I forget if Cody's gives you how much they gain within a sector, if that's on the lap. So he could even see himself in the top 5, depending on how that sector time shows us. Oh, and look at that. It is 10th place for Fontes as he sets a 1:15.73, tenths ahead of Tazonic. Very nicely done there. And speaking of Tazonic, he's in 3 laps in on the softs at the moment. And those are fitted tires, as we saw there from our option menu. So he's done exactly 3 laps on that set of tires. And in 11th. Doesn't really matter too much. Won't have to start the race on them, but interesting choice there as Dark Ghost is down on his time at the moment. Looks like he's got that Alpha Tori right behind him. That's going to be Marlon Conga. Marlon is trying to get in on his lap here. He's only got 55 seconds left, which is more than enough here, but he might not be too happy with the Red Bull that is seemingly holding him up at the moment. And he's going to have to back off, as we see now, and go for his lap. But he'll cross the line with more than enough time as Perpetual Rain setting a purple sector through Sector 2. Cody's could be lying to us just a bit about that, as he normally do with our purples. But hit that purple in chat and see what happens as Rain here is going for pole. Doesn't look like he's going to quite get it, but maybe could get second here. Oh, and he will, just by a stretch of an end plate. He'll get second as Delirious looks to be pushing here. And Indian Cyclone as well. Indian Cyclone, though, not looking like he's going to improve here on this time. He was down through Sector 2. Might be able to get a little bit here off the exit out of that Mercedes. That beautiful livery that they are running this season. And across the line, can he improve? Oh, just by half a tenth is all he can do. As you now have King Kirk here. He's up a tenth and a half there through Sector 2. Currently on his lap here, coming through the final couple of turns at the Hungary Ring. This is his final lap of qualifying. It has ended, so everyone who is not yet on a lap, that is the session over. But there goes King Kirk, and still only 5th best, and right behind him comes Delirious. Can Delirious take second? Looks like he will. Oh, and he does. Still 6 tenths behind Indian Cyclone, but good enough to beat out Perpetual Rain there for the front row of the grid. As we now look on board there with Marlon Conga going 6th fastest. And then it will be all down here to Money Hustard, who's going very slow on his lap. So that looks to be the end of qualifying as we have it. So it is going to be Indian Cyclone and Delirious taking that 1-2 in the front row of the grid, followed by a lockout for the Haas drivers for the second row in 3rd and 4th, Perpetual Rain and Shadow Wolf, and then King Kirk rounding out the top 5, followed by Marlon Conga, Money Hustard, Night Shrimp, Dark Ghost, and AR Real Brackish, locking out our top 10. Fontes, Tazonic, and Hey AC sitting in the back there in 11th, 12th, and 13th. And Hey AC's got to be kicking himself, wondering where he could have been. He was sitting in 2nd place before he got disqualified in the session. Quite possibly could have fought his way maybe for 2nd, as Indian Cyclone looks to be just outright unstoppable, at least in qualifying. See how he fares in the rain. But there you have it. P1 pole position. Indian Cyclone, hats off to him, but he's going to have to keep it together for 35 laps in the race if he wants to keep that position at the end. And there you have it once more. Everyone in the 115s or lower. Indian Cyclone there, the pole time of 113.3, and Tazonic the only one outside of the 115s. But it's looking to be a great race tonight, and we just want to thank all of our viewers for tuning in. I am PPR Nick. I'll be your commentator tonight, and I'm very happy to have all of you with us, whether you're commenting or you're watching at home or on your phone or maybe even at your place of work. We greatly appreciate the views. If you like what you're seeing and you're new, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. You can catch racing content throughout the entire week besides Saturdays. We're now streaming PS4 on Thursdays, so Saturday is the only day of the week you can't catch a stream here on our YouTube channel. And can't miss out on any great racing because these races almost never disappoint. And it's looking like here in the Hungary Ring as we see the rain coming down on track, that we will not be disappointed here tonight. But while all of our drivers get their setup straight and their fuel and tires, we'll take a quick 30-second break here in the booth, and I'll be right back with you for the start of the formation lap. And here we are for the start of our formation lap. Indian Cyclone leading off the grid here for Xbox Division 2. If you're just joining us, welcome to the stream. It's going to be a full wet race tonight. And quite possibly maybe some chaos into turn one, as these drivers maybe have not practiced in the rain at all this week. And they're going to have to find that braking zone very early on after the start and into turn one, that they don't make contact with one another. But as everyone goes around, we'll go through the standings. Talked about Delirious. He is currently our points leader there in second. His rival at the moment is Indian Cyclone, who's 41 points behind. So Cyclone's going to hope that Delirious has a bad day so he can catch up in the championship. If not, just beat him to cut down that lead just a little bit. And then fall behind them is Money Hustard and King Kirk. And third and fourth, very tight battle between them. 97 points and 90 there for King Kirk. And then you have Hey AC rounding out the top 5, just 4 ahead of the Shadow Wolf there in 6th. Followed by Fontus, Aero Brackets, Perpetual Rain, and 10 Whole Dollars, who unfortunately is not with us tonight racing, rounding out the top 10. But here we go. Drivers now getting into their grid slots. You see Indian Cyclone. Oh, it looks like Tazonix drops in him a quick little invite. So hopefully he can get back in the session as quick as possible. And there we have it. Everyone tonight going to be on the intermediate tires to start off the race. And here we go, my favorite moment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights, and away we go here for Xbox Division 2 here at the Hungary Ring. And it is a great start there. Oh, we're starting to see a little bit of a shakeup between our grid order. Oh, and a lot of front wings loose. Oh, is a Ferrari off? Looks like that was Night Shrimp. It was Night Shrimp. But it looks like front wings intact, so he's still going on strong. You got the Shadow Wolf right behind him. On board, though, Indian Cyclone getting off very easily. And now we have a yellow flag through turn 2. And it is all clear. See a lot of drivers in the background really trying to get it all together here. You got the Renault of Aero Brackish, or excuse me, Money Hustard, as our timing boards really begin to come together after that. So we can get all the views ready for you. Apologies for that as you try to catch the drivers as your timing board completely destroys itself. Tazonix joins back, but he will be all the way back there in 13th as we ride on board here with King Kirk. And he's starting to fall back already from the front too. Looks like Marlon Conga is really on the gearbox here of the sister team of Red Bull. Might be looking at a move very shortly if he can do so. Remember, there is no DRS available since we are in wet weather conditions. You get that beautiful shot of all the drivers making their way through the second to last turn, and Indian Cyclone is going to lead it out for us in the first lap as Dark Ghost already into the pits, and he's going to fall way back in the order here, all the way to last and short a very large margin on the timing screens. Hey AC, though, has to be said that he's gone from 13th to 7th already in one lap, and he's climbing up the order. He's got Marlon Conga right in front of him, quite possibly looking to take 6th position here on lap number 2. That AlphaTauri is all for his taking, but Marlon's going to defend for his life. You already know it. As they come through the chicane here, and all bouncing those cars off the curbs. As you see, there are predicted pit stop strategy. Definitely just looking like inners to inners tonight, and really just the choice of when our drivers want to stop is really going to be all that really separates everyone tonight. So not much is going to change that way in terms of strategy. Oh, and it looks like Marlon and Hey AC are getting a little close here. Hey AC trying to go around the outside. That's not going to be the preferred line. He's not going to get the greatest exit. Oh, but it looks like Marlon let off a little bit on the throttle. So Hey AC's going to get it. Oh, and it's a drag race down in the turn 1 here on lap 3. See what comes of it. Marlon's got the better line here on the inside, but Hey AC's going to have the traction on the outside. So they're still side by side as they lead into turn number 2, but AC looks like he's gotten the better exit of the 2, and that is all she wrote there for the Williams driver of Hey AC, as he's now up into 6th place and 2 seconds behind Money Hustler there in 5th. Oh, and we have a yellow flag. Looks like that's for the Ferrari of Nitrim, who's already back on track. But very, very nicely done there from the Williams of Hey AC as we look up at our leaders, our championship rivals at the moment. Could be good friends in Discord, but when it comes to on-track battles, there's no love lost, as Delirious is looking to take first place away here from Cyclone very early on in the race. And really your best opportunity is going to be turn 1 tonight, or as we saw Hey AC just do through turn 2. As in these wet weather conditions, it makes overtaking twice as hard at a track that is already hard enough to overtake at. And it's going to be all about corner exits here tonight. There's going to be no DRS assistance, as we have another yellow flag. Nothing really going there as Hey AC sets the fastest lap of the race, and Delirious is slowly catching on there to Indian Cyclone. But these two are going to have to be wary there of King Kirk, who is very, very close behind them. And this could not play very well into the hands of Delirious, as we see in real life with Max Verstappen and Red Bull. Kind of get stuck in a Mercedes sandwich, and they can really play some games here later on in the race in terms of strategy, and maybe even trying to hold up Delirious at a certain point in the race. Not saying they will, but they have the option, and Night Shrimp has already retired 4 laps in. I guess he's called it quits due to the rain. Maybe doesn't feel comfortable on track. Delirious is doing a great job at the moment of holding on to Indian Cyclone. Looks like these two are really on par at the moment. Oh, and as I say that, Delirious nearly losing it in the wall. Heart had to have sunk all the way deep into his stomach there, but keeps it together and just loses a few tenths there to Indian Cyclone as they keep the battle going. But that leaves King Kirk looming in the background ever so closely. And speaking of which, we have Hey AC now looking like he might be able to get a jump here on Money Hustler. He's got the better exit. It's going to be another drag race. Can he get another position here? This would be a overtake every lap if he could do it. And he's got the inside run there on Money Hustard, and Money Hustard really nothing he can do, but he's going to have the inside line here going to turn 2. Hey, AC's got the better exit out of 1, but Money should have a better traction out of 2, but just concedes the position. Doesn't look like he got on the throttle quick enough there. Maybe not as confident as Hey AC at the moment here with these wet conditions. Hey AC's gone from 13th to 5th in 4 laps. I mean, that's unbelievable there from the Williams driver, really showing his pace. And in a few laps, if he can get around perpetual rain, he might possibly come into threat here for our top 3. So Hey AC is not out the fight, maybe doing a little last of first challenge tonight, because he is definitely on the charge. Top 3 of Cyclone, Delirious, and King Kirk. All looking pretty comfortable at the moment. Pretty on par when it comes to race pace. Hey AC here, trying to see if he can get around perpetual rain this time around. Doesn't have as much of a gap as he did last time on the past 2 overtakes. As we see, Fontes has gone off and looks like he's back on track, so nothing too harmful there. As we take it back on board here with this battle between AC and Rain, as AC just doesn't look like he has enough in him at the moment to really make a move here on Rain. Maybe waiting for a mistake. Can really gain a lot of time here through turns 3 and 4 if you can get it to perfection off of your exit. So you can see how challenging that uphill turn is at the moment, as it looks like something has gone very wrong there with Marlon Conga. He's lost 2 positions, losing 1 to his teammate and then another to the Shadow Wolf, and really struggling here as you see it. Getting a lot of oversteer, a little bit of understeer, and then cutting it on the grass. So Marlon still got a point at the moment, but he's going to have to bring it all together if he wants to keep it on track and keep it in the points here tonight. It's really going to be all up for grabs points-wise, because only 2 drivers tonight after Nitrum's retirement will be outside of the points. So really all to fight for. Whether or not you're having a great race or a terrible one, you still have a chance to get a point or 2. And that is really all that matters. That could determine massively when we come down to Abu Dhabi at the end of the season, whether or not you get in the top 10, the top 5, or maybe if Indian Cyclone can really start coming together here in these next few races between a championship or not. I've called this very early on in the season Indian Cyclone's redemption year. And every race I commentated for him, he really made it look like that. But while I've been away, Delirious has really climbed up in the fight, put himself in a very optimal position, 41 points ahead. And Indian Cyclone is going to have to climb back up and really show that form that he had early on in the season here in the final mid rounds to keep the championship close, as we are now past the half mark way in the season, 13 races in, 9 left to go, including tonight at Hungary. So there will actually be 8 left come next week. But 41 points is not too much, and Delirious will also know that. That'll be why he's going to be fighting so hard with Cyclone tonight, as he's been doing so far this race. You can see pit strategy come into play as well if these guys stay so close in our top 3. One of the one of the Mercedes will be caught out though if these guys stay so close and pit around the same lap, because one is going to get the under and one's going to get the overcut. And you got to imagine that undercut is going to be slightly faster as you're just coming back in the pits for intermediates. And I'm going to have to say it's going to be Indian Cyclone who's going to get that opportunity, as he's got to be on team radio there with King Kirk. Even though King Kirk is in 3rd place in the championship, Indian Cyclone is more than 30 points ahead and more in the fight here for the championship in Xbox Division 2. So you got to think there's going to be a little bit of team orders when it comes to pit stops in the next few laps. Probably going to see those pits around lap 16 to 20. That's going to be my time frame for that. So we'll see how that sorts itself out if these drivers are still that close. But Delirious is really starting to cut in to the gap here to Cyclone, and so is King Kirk. Cyclone looks like he might be struggling just a little bit this lap. Maybe a little bit on edge as tire wear starts to loom just a little bit. Delirious is going to stay on the charge as much as possible. And apologies for the mic being muted there. Sound was off for just a little bit, but we are back as Delirious is right behind Indian Cyclone here. Still 6 tenths off. King Kirk still looming in the distance. Oh, and it looks like the McLaren of Fontes has once again gone off just a little bit there around turn 5 and 6. But no worries, looks like he's still back on track, and Delirious is fighting so hard to get as close as possible to the Cyclone, but these guys are so close on pace at the moment that nothing really separating them. And that's as close as Delirious has gotten all night, right to the gearbox of Indian Cyclone. Almost nothing separating them. And it looks like Delirious is starting to pick up a little bit here in pace. See if he can keep this going and maybe quite possibly look for an overtake on Indian Cyclone in the next few laps. And look who it is. It's Hey AC. He's made his submission. He's asking for a chance here for a podium spot. He's fought his way from 13th all the way up into 4th within 12 laps, and he might be on the verge of taking the 3rd place. Oh, and as we say that, maybe a bit of commentator's curse, because he's gone off track as soon as he saw King Kirk and an overtake opportunity. So he's going to have to fight himself back up. But he has plenty of time to do so, as Delirious is on the charge still. And he's got Indian Cyclone as close as ever. See if he can get a good exit here after the final 2 turns and make a run up into turn 1. It's going to be his best opportunity for an overtake here tonight, and see if he can do it. Still not enough for Delirious, as he remains in 2nd there. Still half a second back. And King Kirk is going to have Hey AC right back within range now. Hey AC looking for 3rd place. And it's going to be interesting as he sets the fastest Sector 1 of the race. Can Hey AC maybe get through this top 3 and take a race win? Still plenty of time and plenty of action left to go for him, as he gets through that chicane way more cleanly than he did on lap 12. And Claire Williams maybe be sitting at home now rooting on her team that she no longer is the team principal of. But hey, AC doing a great job here for Williams, trying to get some valuable points tonight. AC though still not within striking distance, still about a second off there of King Kirk. Delirious still half a second off there from Indian Cyclone. Oh, but it looks like Aero Brackish gonna have a look at his teammate here, Money Hustard. See what happens here. Are they gonna play nice, or is Brackish? Oh, Brackish is gonna go for it. Money Hustard thought he was gonna overshoot it, so Money Hustard really abandoned any good exit. And Brackish' very naive thoughts of an overtake ended up getting him one, because Money Hustard played it very safe there through turn 1. And now Money Hustler is going to have to be wary of Tazonic behind him, because Tazonic's making a charge as they go up the hill, but can't get a good enough exit there to really make a climb into turn 4. As Money Hustler goes very wide, and Hustler's really starting to struggle here. Brackish around the outside through turn 5, and that is P7 for Tazonic, and Money Hustler's falling way back, and now he's got the Shadow Wolf right on his gearbox here. This midfield battle is amazing. And look at Shadow Wolf go. He's trying to get a position as well. He says, thank you very much to the first 2. It's now my turn to overtake this Renault, but can he do it? That is the question. Money Hustard looks like he's given another chance to another driver, and he's fallen even further behind as they're still going side by side. And that is going to be an overtake done there for Shadow Wolf, as we now see Hey AC entering the pits here on lap 15 to put on some fresh rubber, and so is Money Hustard. Looks like those two are starting to really deal with the wear and tear of these tires. We see Brackish now up into 5th, and Tazonic there into 6th. Delirious, King Kirk still keeping the fight going. Delirious, though, very close to Cyclone. We could see a change of lead here in the race. It's Red Bull on Mercedes. Who is going to win this battle? This is as close as we've seen it so far tonight. Probably won't see an overtaking chance here as Delirious locks up just slightly as him and Cyclone come through Sector 2 and into 3. King Kirk, as always, looming in the distance, as we've mentioned a few times this race. And it has to be said that Hey AC has really got himself within a very decent gap there on his pit stop. No cars in front, no cars behind, and he can really just push now and wait for our leaders to pit and see if he can take advantage. Now it's all up to Cyclone, Delirious, King Kirk for how long they're going to go. Now the problem here with Cyclone and Kirk is who's going to pit first and who's going after the other. You really got to imagine that they're on comms at the moment speaking about it as Kirk starts to slope a little bit here on this battle, but not Delirious. Delirious still looking for it as you see Shadow Wolf there in the pits and now exiting, and Cyclone not getting the best run here up the hill, but there's not going to be an overtaking chance for Delirious. He's going to have to hold off as he does, but he's right there on the gearbox. He sees P1. He knows he has a chance to get it, but Cyclone, the one thing he's done perfectly so far this race is that final turn. He has the better exit nearly every lap on Delirious. The one time he didn't, Delirious nearly got the place, and oh, that looks like a driver off, and it is. That's Dark Ghost, and he seems to be back on track in no time. So we'll take it back up here to the very highly contested battle between the front three. Haven't seen any overtakes, but they've been side by side, front wing to gearbox all race, and there it goes. Cyclone, that is the answer for you. Cyclone is first into the pits, trying to get the undercut on Delirious, doing it perfectly, not leading Delirious on that he was going to pit, doing it very late so that Delirious could not follow. So Delirious, you got to assume, is going to pit this next lap so that he doesn't get hurt too much by that undercut. Might lose maybe half a second to 1 second, as Hey AC's now set the fastest lap of the race and is on a complete charge. He just obliterated the fastest lap of the race so far that was set by Dark Ghost, a 129.4. Hey AC said, hey, I'm going to set a 128.3, and he did so. So he is climbing, and that undercut might be good enough maybe to come within reach of Indian Cyclone, and it's actually better than Cyclone. Hey AC has jumped Cyclone through his pit stop. Even with that mistake on lap 12, he's found himself ahead of Cyclone, and maybe that's going to be P1 for AC, and Delirious and Cyclone might be caught off guard by that one, as they thought maybe they were going to be the ones fighting for the lead tonight. Hey AC's just shown himself and played his cards fantastically so far. Let's see if Delirious comes into the pits now, as him and Kirk are approaching pit lane. Looks like Delirious is staying out, but King Kirk going in, so that's going to be Delirious staying out another lap and pushing these tires just one lap longer. Might quite possibly see him come in on the following lap, but let's see where AC comes out. It's going to be ahead of the Mercedes of King Kirk. I believe he would have to be. So we now take on board here with Kirk, and yeah, there you go, the Williams flying past. Now where is Cyclone to his teammate? Oh, Cyclone had a terrible lap there. You see him ending up getting passed by his teammate and slowed up at turn 1. That's going to cost him massively. That is the difference between first and second, and even a third place spot on the podium, as he's now faced with the obstacle of his teammate in front. And who knows, these two might battle it out, or King Kirk might get team orders to let Cyclone by if Cyclone gets close enough. But at the moment, Cyclone has had a terrible pit stop and a terrible outlap after that, and he's fallen massively behind AC. AC's now nearly 5 seconds ahead of both of these two, and 16 nearly seconds behind Delirious. So hey, AC's gonna find himself in P1 after pit stops if he can keep this pace going. Just unbelievable there, and Delirious is staying out another lap and really pushing those inners as far as they can go here. As you see, Cyclone is really struggling at the moment, as he is now seeing his championship really come out of grasp. He's got to start cutting down the points to Delirious. He can't really afford any more races of losing points to the Red Bull if he wants to stay within championship contention. He is only 41 points back, but the more points you lose, the less races you're going to have to accumulate them back. And Indian Cyclone knows that, and he's got to be on the charge here. But there's not really much the Mercedes team can do, because King Kirk is lapping faster at the moment than Cyclone, so he can't let him by because he's a faster car. And he's still in third place as well in the championship, so awkward situation for these two at the moment, as Hey AC is starting to come within grasp now of Tazonic, who is there in second place and doing a fantastic job of coming all the way back from 13th in the grid to take presumably first place after pit stops. The only thing that could really hinder this would be a safety car at the moment. Tazonic now has entered the pit, so that's AC up into second. Now the only thing really saving Delirious here in first place would be a safety car. It's going to be about a 13-second stop under VSC or safety car conditions. But with the way these guys are driving tonight, no one's really throwing it in the walls. So Delirious is going to be caught off, and he's going to fall all the way behind Indian Cyclone as he pushes these intermediate tires, further on for his first stint. But he'll have the fresher tires in his second stint. But we've already seen it's so hard for him to get around these guys that I don't know if the strategy is going to play into his hands, because he's going to have to get past Cyclone and King Kirk. And he wasn't able to do it in the first few stages here in the race, but he might be able to do it in the latter. And the rain has stopped. We could see a dry track here in the next 5 to 7 laps. So Delirious may be pushing long, hoping for a dry track to form soon. We weren't expecting dry weather whatsoever, but it looks like we're going to get it fairly soon, within the next 5 to 10 minutes. And if Delirious could take these inners from there, he's going to stay P1. Delirious might have played the ultimate strategy card here, and he might be able to come home in P1, as we're 21 laps into this 35-lap race, and it's all going in favor of Red Bull at the moment. If the rain doesn't come back, that is the huge question we have to ask at the moment. Will we see more rain, or is that all for the race? And as this track begins to dry, these intermediate tires will not be the optimal tire within the next few laps. But here we go with a great midfield battle between Dark Ghost, Perpetual Rain, and Aero Brackish. Brackish starting to catch up the Rain very quickly. Rain doesn't look like he's quite on pace at the moment, at least this lap here, to Brackish behind. And Brackish has to be wary of the other Haas driver behind him. That is just Shadow Wolf, He's stuck in between a Haas sandwich at the moment, and no saving for him. His teammate, Brackish, is Money Hustard. Money Hustard is sitting back there in 11th, quite a few seconds behind, but 6th, 7th, 8th are all of the Shadow Wolf wants it all here, as Fontes has retired from the session and retired in the pits is what it looks like. He is called a day. He's had a few offs in the race and just doesn't think he can really keep together here for the final few laps. As we see Rain now starting to catch up to Dargos, and oh, unfortunately we have that McLaren of Fontes. Fontes did everything right. He retired in the pits as is per PPR rules, but that McLaren is coming back out on track and in front of the two Mercedes. Oh, and this could be very, very dangerous. That is not a ghosted car. I believe we should have ghosting on. I could be wrong. It could be off here in the race. But since Fontes has retired, that car should be pulling off to the side. And yes, it is. Hopefully that does not bring out a safety car, as that would really change the dynamics of this race massively. It is not. McLaren is gone, and we are back to normal racing. That probably cost the two McLarens about half a second at most, so not too much harm done to them, and it is all well on track. So with 11 remaining, everyone but one is going to score points tonight, and at the moment it looks like Money Hustard is going to be that one driver, as we have quite the train developing here in our midfield. You see all of them coming very closely together. Shadow Wolf under threat now from Tazonic behind. Tazonic trying to pick up 9th place here from the Haas driver. See if he has it in him to keep together here for these final few turns and really make a good run into turn 1 to do so, as he's locking up massively here. Oh, but Shadow Wolf catching a lot of oversteer there. This might be a chance here for Tazonic. He goes around the outside here to Shadow Wolf. He's going to try to get it on the throttle as quick as possible, and it's going to be a drag race into turn 1. He has the slipstream now on the Haas driver. I don't know if he's going to have enough to go for an overtake. He looks at the inside, right back there to the racing line, and knows that's not going to be an overtaking chance, at least at this moment in time. So still going to be behind the Haas driver, Shadow Wolf. And Shadow can maybe breathe for just a moment, but he knows that AlphaTauri is really chasing him. And speaking of chasing, 5th, 6th, and 7th fighting very hard. Dart Ghost going wide, just cutting off any chance to go on the outside there for Rain. And Dart Ghost now right on the back of Marlon Conga. Marlon currently in 5th, leading this group of cars as they come through the chicane. And this is getting very intense in the middle of the field. Also, as we said, Delirious up there in 1st has not pitted yet. The rain has still not come back here on track, but the track is still very wet and definitely not optimal for a soft, medium, or hard compound of tire. So it looks like Delirious is trying to push as much as he can on those, as he's 11 seconds ahead of Hey AC. But looking at this battle here in the midfield, it is getting spicy. This is what you love to watch on track, as we have multiple chances for an overtake as we come to turn 1. Rain not going to be within striking distance. Brackish, oh, a heavy lockup, not going to get it. But who is? It's going to be Tazonic. Yes, it is. He's going to get 9th place over Shadow Wolf, and Shadow Wolf is going to fall back into 10th. And Money Hustler is catching very closely to this group of cars as well. So you got to think he'll be up in the mix as well very soon. Oh, and look, it's Dargos going on the inside. No, he's not. Oh, he thought about it for just a split second, but backs off from Marlon there. That would have been quite naive there of Dargos to try to go for the move, as you could just see how close these cars are to one another. This is what you love about racing. This is what you love to see here. And with just nearly 10 laps remaining, we have a huge fight in the midfield, 6th through 10th, and Money Hustler maybe there in 11th for the final points here Gotta say, this action is amazing. And if you're liking what you're seeing, let us know in the chat and give this race a huge thumbs up, because the action is definitely not disappointing. Oh, and Rain catching a little bit of oversteer is going to lose out on a chance to get at Dark Ghost. But Dark Ghost really getting a great exit here on Marlon. Marlon going to sit there on the racing line. See if Dark Ghost tries to go for a move here at turn 1. Oh, and he is. He's going to throw it down the inside of Marlon. Oh, and he makes it perfectly. Marlon gets to squeeze. Oh, and Marlon's going to lose again now to Perpetual Rain in the Haas. Marlon's lost 2 positions, and he might lose a third one, because here comes Brackish. Oh, but it looks like Marlon's held it off just enough. But now Perpetual Rain is trying to get at Dark Ghost as they come up the hill. We might go 3 wide. No, we're not. That was looking like they may. But now Brackish is going to lose out to Tazonic. Let's see who gets the better exit here out of 5. Oh, they're going to go side by side through the chicane. That's not safe. You see in the background, make a little bit of contact. They're still going side by side. They're not giving any space. They are making it as tight as possible. Oh, and they nearly make contact, but there goes Tazonic. Finally gets it done on Brackish, and that's some very hard racing if I've ever seen it. And luckily, front wings are still attached to themselves. No end plates are going flying. And Tazonic, you see him there in 8th. Brackish behind there in 9th, and Shadow Wolf in 10th. And look, I may have just called it. There is Money Hustard now in 11th, right up into this wonderful fight that we are currently having between all of these drivers. Marlon trying to hold the inside from his teammate of Tazonic. They're going to go, and it looks like Marlon's going to concede to his teammate not to lose out to Brackish, but Brackish is still going to go for it. Gets the door shut. Oh, no! No, that's Marlon Conga into the wall. And he's now going to fall back, and it looks like he's going to catch some wing damage as well as we catch back up to the fight here for our final 5 positions. And Money Hustler picking up that 3-second time penalty. And with that incident, things have sort of relaxed just a little bit. But that was very unfortunate there for Marlon as he got caught out at turn 1. Couldn't quite tell if that was the fault of his own or if he maybe got a slight tap from another car. But either way, he's now down into 11th position. Oh, and Perpetual Rain making a little bit of contact there with the gearbox of Dark Ghost. Rain looking like he's going to take P5 here. See if he gets a good exit out of the final turn. Really keeping it all together as it makes their charge up to turn 1. And it looks like he's going to get it here down the straight. They go side by side through turn 1. Oh, and it looks like Dark Ghost is going to keep it together. Oh, and they get so close. Just barely nudging each other. Oh, and Rain has hit him. This time losing an end plate, and there goes Tazonic behind. Tazonic's now in the fight. Rain has damage and 8 laps remaining. This could cost Perpetual Rain out massively in the fight. We also have to say that Hey AC is catching up very quickly to Delirious. Delirious still yet to pit from the start of the race. But here we go. Oh, is Tazonic going to go through the chicane? No, he's not. Oh, but he's got to lock up so he doesn't make contact with Rain. Oh, and he flips over the curb and somehow keeps the car planted as he goes 2 wheels for just half a second. But somehow remains in 7th. I know Tazonic is definitely hard in his stomach now because that was a very scary moment for the AlphaTauri, and Delirious has abandoned his go-for-it-all strategy and into the pits, and it looks like he's going to lose out on a podium due to it. But this is going to come greatly into the hands of Cyclone. As here comes Tazonic, going to go around Rain, and Rain has opted to pit. So is Dark Ghost. Dark Ghost pitting as well. seems like he caught damage as well. So Tazonic now is up into 5th. Brackus shortly followed up behind them. Shadow Wolf and Money Hustard as well. So this midfield battle is definitely not over. Still got 4 out of the 6 drivers in it. As you see, Rain and Ghost coming out in 9th and 10th. Excuse me, Dark Ghost in 9th and Rain in 10th after their pit stops. Maybe Rain got held up just a little bit there. But this battle has been electrifying. If I've ever been able to label something as electrifying, this would be it. In terms of our top 3 for the podium, it's Hey AC there in 1st, followed by King, Kirk, Indian Cyclone, and then right outside is Delirious. But it looks like Delirious has lost out on his chance because the track has not dried like I may have thought it would, as many at home may have thought it would. Still very wet and looking like it's going to stay like that for the remainder of the race. As, we have an incident in Sector 2, but no DNFs. Looks like Rain is going to get the position there on Dark Ghost. Wondering what happened there. Both still have their front wings intact, so maybe just a slight bit of contact. But they are back up and running at the moment, as Fontes has finally left the session, as he saw some great action as we have here on stream tonight. With just 6 laps remaining, the midfield is still all up for grabs. And see who can come up on top here. Tazonic there in 5th. Going to take a look here at our positions gained during the race. Hey AC, definitely my driver of the day, but second hand to him would definitely be Tazonic, who's gone up 7 places so far in this race, all the way from 12th to 5th. Hey AC, 13th to 1st. Those guys doing an amazing job. It looks like Tazonic's starting to ghost a little bit here. Oh no, that is tragic. And that's going to be a spin. Tazonic's ghost has caused a spin. Unfortunately, Tazonic could see a penalty for that from the stewards, but really to no fault of his own. He's disconnected, and really nothing he can do there about it. It's all up to his AI. And Delirious falling down into 6th as well. Wondering what just happened there with Delirious. Delirious was definitely not in that, but that's now promoted. Money Hustler in the 5th, Shadow Wolf in the 4th. These two are probably just exhilarated in the cockpit because out of nowhere they're in 4th and 5th and inside the top 5. Podium well out of reach, but no matter that, they're still within the top 5. And Delirious really gifting Indian Cyclone some great points. But like I mentioned earlier, is King Kirk going to let Cyclone by, or are they going to stay like this on track? Because these 3 points could come in very handy to Cyclone. Those additional 3 points could mean a whole lot come the end of the season. It looks like Cyclone's starting to catch up just a little bit. And Delirious losing it again. Delirious is on the mediums. That really says it all there. As you look at the tires, Delirious went for the softs, and it's not paid out at all. You see Dark Ghost and Marlin in the background on the softs, but they're in 10th and 11th. They have that gamble to be made, and Delirious is just not paid off for him. Is now under threat from Tazonic right behind. So with the track drying up these final few laps, Delirious thought he had a chance to go for it, but just hasn't worked out that way. And he's seen himself drop from the podium from a potential win all the way down to 7th, quite possibly 8th if Tazonic can get by. And here we have it, the run through the final turn here, as these drivers start their 31st lap, 35, and Tazonic, you have to think, is going to get the run here on Delirious. Delirious gets the better traction, quite possibly putting that thing into overtake. Tazonic, as you see, his steering wheel there is not. And maybe questionable there because he definitely could have got around Delirious, but he's going to stay behind him here. And they're going to go side by side through turn 3. Tezonic's going to get the position. And Delirious is going to lose out and drop all the way to 8th. As we now check on the battle of the Mercedes. Definitely no team orders so far, as Cyclone is still behind King Kirk. Hey, AC is really taking off now in the lead. In Cyclone, if he can pick up second, will really cut down to Delirious' lead. Delirious at the moment picking up 4 points. Cyclone with 15. If he can get past his teammate of Kirk, that's going to be 18 points. So there you go. Quick math. 14 minus 41. That is 47. But no, Cyclone definitely going to cut very well into that gap. This will be 27 points back now from his championship rival. Oh, and I take that back. There goes Brackish into the pits. What is Brackish going for? Is Brackish going to put on a set of softs? Yes, he is. Brackish going for the softs there. Maybe fastest lap. They see Delirious now drop down the 9th, so this championship lead is going to cut very quick. Now within 25 points, and as we see Dark Ghost let Indian Cyclone go through. But Cyclone has to beat his teammate here on track. And you got to think, as much as Cyclone wants those extra 3 points, you want to see the action on track. You don't want to see King Kirk give it up, but it might happen. However, knowing these two, I don't think we'll see that. I think they're going to race for it till the end. The Cyclone is going to have to pull something out of his bag here. And the track is drying up, and these inners are not going to last very much longer. So, oh man, this is really coming down to the wire here. DRS is enabled, and that is how you know if you're on the inners, you're on the wrong tire. But there's only 2 laps to go till the white flag waves. But both of these two have a chance to pit. But what is so terrible for them is they're going to have to double stack in the pits. They'll still come out in 2nd and 3rd, but it's going to be very close if the Shadow Wolf opts to stay out there, but I doubt he will. So this is all coming down to strategy. As we really look at the difference here of softs to inners. Oh, and as I say that, there goes Rain in the pits. So there goes our chance to really see the difference. But the 2 Mercedes are now going to have the choice to come in the pits with 2 laps remaining or stay out. They really have no formidable opponent that's going to stop them from getting a podium here, because Shadow Wolf, you got to think, if they're pitting, it's definitely the right choice, and Shadow Wolf will get caught up from them after they're on the soft tires. But here we go. King Kirk, oh, double baits his teammate. He's going into the pits. King Kirk is going into the pits. But now it's up to Cyclone to maintain 2nd, which is so weird to say because he's going to be at least 22 seconds ahead, but on the worst set of tires. And you see it there. Dark Ghost is looking to unlap himself, and Indian Cyclone is going to have to be careful. He's just going to let him by. As Marlon Conga now sets the fastest lap of the race on the softs. So Indian Cyclone is going to have to keep it together, because if he pits now, he's not going to beat his teammate. So he's been left out to be stranded from the Mercedes team. To him now to make these tires work for a lap and a half more. And King Kirk is charging on the softs. He's 18 seconds back. Make that now into the 17s. As Brackish goes 123.5 there on the softs. That beats our fastest lap time on the inners by 6 seconds. And King Kirk is coming back for 2nd. He could quite possibly do it within 2 laps. With Cyclone, he can't pit now. He's got to stay out and make this work. Here on the intermediate tires, there's still enough of a wet track to keep it together. It's not dry quite yet, but it's getting very close to it. And Cyclone is going to have his teammate charging very closely behind, but King Kirk's going to have to make up 14.5 seconds here on this lap, but he is cutting down very quickly, and he's gotten DRS as well for the back marker of Marlon behind him. So that's a second now into one corner, and Cyclone is now starting to catch up to Hey AC, but just for a bit. He's still 7 seconds back. Looks like Hey AC is starting to struggle as well here on the inners. Oh, and AC has a puncture within the final stage of the race. AC has a puncture, and this is going to be the race win, quite possibly, for Cyclone, unless King Kirk can catch up to both of them. This is coming down to the wire. Can AC make it last for just a few more corners? I don't think he can, because here comes Indian Cyclone within view of AC. Oh man, AC's gonna try his hardest to defend for the race win, but he can't do it. That's Cyclone now up in the first. AC now is gonna have King Kirk behind him. Oh, and AC's struggling. He is really struggling, and Kirk might get second place. This might be a 1-2 for Mercedes as we come across the line. That's going to be P1 for Cyclone and P2 for King Kirk as they come across the line. Kirk takes second. Oh, but off of penalties, AC will still keep second. Here comes the Shadow Wolf now in fourth to round out our outside the podium positions as he makes the inners stick for one more lap, as that was an absolute thriller. As there goes Shadow Wolf, and now across the line will be the two Renaults of Money Hustard and ARL Brackish for 5th and 6th, and swap them around due to time penalties. And now I can hold my breath just a little bit as we see Perpetual Rain come here and finish it off in 7th. And there you have it, Rain in 7th, Delirious going now in 8th, losing out massively to Cyclone. And we'll go ahead and get these guys some invites into our party and get their thoughts, as we are now joined by Cyclone. We'll be starting our driver interviews very shortly. You see Hey AC there as a driver of the day. For all of his overtakes done on track. With that puncture, though, really getting caught out on the last lap. As we'll now run down through our top 10 as it appears here on screen. If Cody's wants to load it up for us, take a brief second. But as we wait for our, here we have it, top 10. You see the drivers on the podium. There is Indian Cyclone taking P1. His teammate behind him, King Kirk, in second. King Kirk in third after his 1 3-second time penalty. Kirk, I know it's got to break your heart there, but hey, AC coming out in second. And here we will go for our driver interviews. Kirk, take it away. Let me know your thoughts there at that last lap. Yeah, I mean, and it was a great race between you guys. Most of the grid really kept it very stable through the rain. I was very impressed. No safety cars, no VSCs like we might expect. But now I'll take it here to Hey AC. Came in second, finished third on track, but due to King Kirk's 1 time penalty, ended up there placing in second. Take me through your thoughts there. You get that puncture on the last lap. You're coming through. You must have been heartbroken there. Yeah, I mean, still, in my eyes, driver of the day. You went from 13th to first, and without that puncture, you know, you would have had first. I mean, I know it's going to be a heartbreaker, but it's still second place, and very great for you. We'll now take the Indian Cyclone. The Cyclone P1, and you've cut down massively in the championship. I know probably during the race you didn't know this, but Delirious pitted too early for some mediums, which cost him, I believe, 4 places in the race. And because of that, you've now cut yourself really back into the fight in the championship. So how does it feel to be in that position, and really how does it feel to win the race? Well, yeah, and really, so do you and Kirk, do you guys have communications going on during the race? Okay, cause yeah, and now the question for me is that maybe some of our viewers also had during the race is, was there ever any discussion between you guys that Kirk might let you by because you're closer to Delirious when it comes, or were you guys just going to fight it out? Yeah, I mean, great teamwork for you guys. Hey, AC, dude, AC, I feel so bad. Our viewers at home probably feel bad as well, but I got to give it to you. My driver of the day by far. I mean, coming after that disqualification and qualifying and then fighting your way up in the first, and just unfortunately that tragic, very tragic puncture leads you into second. But, dude, hats off to you. Hats off to you as well. Indian Cyclone for first. Kirk there for third. You guys gave us a fantastic race there, and our midfield as well. Some great battles, and thank you guys for joining us here in the booth for some quick interviews. Oh yeah, Kurt, go ahead. Oh, definitely, and congrats to them. And congrats to you guys again for that double Mercedes podium. We will see you guys next week. All right, and that is going to wrap it up here for PPR Esports Xbox Division 2. Unsure if we're going to have a Division 1 stream tonight, but if not, plenty of action on track here for Xbox Division 2. Follow us up tomorrow for PC Division 2 and Division 3. One of those will be streaming on our YouTube. And that is all for me tonight. I am your commentator of the evening, PPR Nick, signing off for one final time here. Peace.